to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. We're here tonight because something happened today in the WNBA. I don't know if y'all are watching WNBA games, but I am watching them, and I couldn't avoid watching Chicago play Indiana tonight or this afternoon. Chicago, of course, the Chicago Sky, they have Angel Reese as their star rookie, among others. They got Cardozo. They got a couple of rookies, but Angel Reese is obviously the star of that show in terms of the media spectacle. She's still a rookie, but she's the part of the media spectacle. That's the one who they filming going down that aisle, dressed like Bayou Barbie, right? And then on the other hand, of course, for the Indiana Fever, that you got Caitlin Clark, who has been the most attention-grabbing, I would say exciting, I would say spectacular player we've seen in a generation of women's basketball players, and maybe in a generation period. I mean, whether you think she's the best or the medium or the worst, whether you think she's overrated or underrated, whatever you think about her, she has drawn way more attention to this league than was there before. Now, that attention that Caitlin Clark has gotten is something that people are making sense of. There's a way that people say this is great for the sport. The attention is bringing better travel conditions, better money, ultimately better contracts, better TV deals, all this stuff. There are other people who are saying, yeah, Caitlin's bringing some good stuff, but she didn't invent the basketball. She didn't invent the game. She didn't invent the league. That this league was tough and talented and gifted and deep and worthy of all this stuff before Caitlin Clark ever stepped foot into the WNBA. Hell, before she even stepped foot into the NCAA. This is a league that's been going on since 1997, and it deserves the respect on its own. And it seems that there are a lot of people in the league who are frustrated with the amount of attention that Caitlin Clark is getting. And I think that's rightfully so. I mean, she's gotten more attention than almost the whole league put together. There are people who have won whole MVPs that didn't get a Nike deal before Caitlin Clark. There are people who have won multiple championships who aren't in the greatest player conversation. They're already putting Caitlin in from the beginning. So I get why people are frustrated. The question for me today, though, is she being mistreated? Is she being bullied even? And the reason why I bring that up is because in today's game, something very interesting, and I would say disturbing, happened. I want y'all to see it, check it out for yourselves, and let me know what you think. Look at this. This is
and Clark. I mean, that's clear, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
I'm gonna show that to you one more time.
And Clark.
Kennedy Carter,
I mean, that's
walking
clear,
over,
which was called. The question is, will they call it
look at that, boom,
unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
That is a non-basketball foul. Kennedy Carter hits a big J. This is a very close game. Caitlin's team, Indiana, won by 1 point at the end. Really, I think Chicago gave that game away with a dumb foul on the ground and some sloppy defense at the end. But the game was hotly contested. Tempers were flaring. And Kennedy comes over after hitting a jump shot and just gives that super hard check to Caitlin, knocks her to the ground. And if you read her lips, and it ain't that hard to read, you can see that she's calling her P-word too.
I mean, that's clear, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
So Kennedy Carter is calling her the B word, knocking her to the ground. There's no basketball play there. Now, the first problem here is the referee. For sure. The referee called this a common foul. There is nothing about this foul that was a common foul. And Christy Sides, who of course is the coach of Indiana, said as much in her post-game, I won't say comments or post-game tweets, responding to Pat Boylan, who's doing announcing for the Pacers and the Fever. Christy Side said, "This is unacceptable." She tags the WNBA and says, "When will the consistent complaints be heard? Something has to be done." And this is an important point too, because Christy Sides, the coach of Indiana, has been compiling footage, tapes of Caitlin Clark being thrown to the ground, her being hit hard, her getting non-calls. You see Caitlin Clark getting increasingly frustrated, yelling at the ref, "Yo, call something." This is the context of it. Now, somebody here said, but Caitlin did flop a couple times. That is absolutely true, especially in the second half. Once Caitlin got that kind of smoke in the first half, she was trying to milk it. She was selling it. She hit the deck. I mean, one time, Angel Reese maybe did a common foul, kind of shook her off, and she flew to the deck. I mean, you would have thought she did a LeBron James style flop. She did who else is good for flop? I mean, she did a legendary flop. So I'm not saying Caitlin is a victim here every time, but we got to be honest. Caitlin is getting manhandled or woman handled all the time. The question is, how do we make sense of it? That's my job, right? How do we make sense of this? Well, the first thing is, this isn't unusual. When you are a rookie in a sport, you get treated differently. In the NBA, they do a lot less of it simply because the NBA has decided that they don't want that style of basketball anymore. They don't want the goon squad. They don't want the bullies. They don't want the Charles Oakleys. They don't want the Detroit Piston bad boy style of play, which was legal but physical. You're going to get pulled out the air. You're going to catch these elbows when I rebound and clear out. You're going to get knocked on your behind. That's just the game. The WNBA has not cracked down on that, and I don't think they need to. You know, it's interesting how all the men in particular who are complaining about how Caitlin is getting knocked on her behind are also the ones saying the NBA is soft. The NBA, I like it back in the 80s and the 90s. I like it back when Larry Bird was getting put on his ass by John Sally and Dennis Rodman and Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer, right? The people want that. Look at what we used to do to Michael Jordan. People want that, allegedly. But when Caitlin gets a little physical treatment, they lose their minds. It's frustrating, but it's also complicated because it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is being treated differently. She's getting harder fouls. They're targeting her. I mean, there was absolutely no reason for Kennedy Carter to throw her to the ground like that after hitting a jump shot. There was no reason for it. And if you look out the corner of your eye, when she hits the ground, Angel Reese is jumping up off the bench celebrating that. So they're clearly saying, we're going to send a message. You're not special. You're not our savior. I understand why they're doing that. Caitlin Clark has been framed as a savior to the league. And there's some ways commercially, media-wise, money-wise, revenue-wise, she just might be. In the same way that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were saviors in the 70s going into the 80s, in the same way that Michael Jordan was in the 80s going into the 90s. There is absolutely a way that she is doing something for the league that people haven't seen before. But the problem is people are now acting as if the WNBA didn't have basketball before she showed up. They're acting as if she invented the WNBA. They're acting as if this league wasn't talented, that she was going to come in here to destroy everybody. Now, let me be clear. I think Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. I think she's going to be the best player in the WNBA very soon. Right now, she's 4th in the league in assists, I believe, and like 12th in scoring or 15th in scoring. I can't remember, but she's playing at a high level already. And because she's not scoring 30 a game, people act like she's a flop. She is playing quite well. When you watch tonight's game, she's a playmaker. She needs a lot of work on defense, and she's getting blitzed at the top of the. She's getting blitzed quickly across half court, and she needs to respond more quickly because she's had some unnecessary turnovers when that double team comes. But she's a player. She's special, and we could pretend she's not, but she is. We could hate on it, but she's still the best. But the problem is, people take these extreme positions, right? They either act like she's a victim who's being given the worst treatment in the world, like it's not basketball, or they act like she's complaining and that this is normal. She is getting a heavier treatment, a harsher treatment than other people. That is a fact. And she's taking the physicality as best she can. She's not complaining. I mean, she's complaining to the rest, but she's not going OD with it. But at this point, we have to talk about not just what's happening to Caitlin, but how we're talking about what's happening to Caitlin. because now I'm seeing a lot of misogynoir popping up on that internet. I'm hearing people now talking about these dudes are caping for Caitlyn so hard that they're acting like the WNBA, the rest of the WNBA, which is mostly black women, are just jealous of this white girl and framing them as these jealous brutes who can't beat Caitlyn, so they're just beating her up, right? I don't like that. I don't like that framing. I believe these sisters are frustrated, and the white girls too. I think people are frustrated at Caitlyn's thing. I think they are giving her some rookie hazing, which is normal in basketball. I think they're trying to teach her a lesson. I think they're also trying to see how they can beat her. When you can't beat somebody who dribbles past you can't beat somebody who's jaying your head off, you get physical. We did the same thing with Michael Jordan. We did the same thing with Steph Curry. This is normal. But it's a little weird that they're doing it to a team that's 1-8 or now 2-8. It's a little weird that they're doing it to a team that hasn't even hit its stride yet. She's not killing people for 30 and 40 points, but they got to do this. So I'd like to see the toughness continue. I'd like to see the physicality continue, not just against Caitlin Clark, but the whole league, right? But I don't want to see egregious plays like the one we saw today by Kennedy Carter. Jeremiah Muhammad said they did the same to Candace Parker. It's a norm. It is the norm to do that to elite players when they come in the league. It's like, welcome to the league. You're going to get these hard screens. You're going to get these hard fouls. I'm fine with that. Candace Parker did it. Candace Parker was also a power forward. Candace Parker was also 6 inches taller than Caitlin Clark. And she plays a physical game. If you physical Angel Reese, that makes sense to me. But that foul we saw today against Caitlin Clark was too much. I do believe it was too much. It just wasn't a basketball play. And that's not for Caitlin. That's for anybody. I hate in any basketball league to see non-basketball fouls. If I go to the basket to shoot, if I go to basketball trying to lay the ball up, if I'm using footwork, if I'm head faking and you give me a hard foul, you wrap me up, you knock me to the ground, I ain't tripping about none of that. That's basketball. But if I'm standing there minding my own business and you just give me a forearm shiver and knock me on my ass, and there's no and it's not a basketball play. Caitlin didn't have a basketball and she wasn't defending a basketball. That's crazy. That's OD, and that's going to create a narrative that I think will be unfair for the league, unfair for the player, whoever ends up doing it. It'll create a black eye and a stain on the team, and we don't need that at a moment where the WNBA is getting more attention than ever. But let's be careful about these framings of the WNBA players as jealous and violent, because that's what it's starting to become. These black girls are so jealous of Caitlin that they're violent. No, they're giving her rookie treatment. They're giving her physical treatment, but just don't go too far, y'all. Don't get too zealous. Kennedy Carter came off the bench, led the team in scoring tonight, led the game in scoring, I believe. But come on, yo. Bear Hudson said, "Thank you so much for the things you do for our culture to uplift us. Can you address why Emmanuel Acho goes out of his way to constantly bring black women down? Am I wrong with my take on him?" I won't speak on Emmanuel Acho and his personality or his idea. I don't know him to speak on him, but I'll say this: I did see his tweet, and I'll bring it up now so y'all can see it. I'll bring it up for y'all. He tweeted on this, and again, it's about the framing. It's always about the framing. Emmanuel Acho framed it like this. He said, Caitlin Clark gets called a BITCH, then decked by Chicago guard Kennedy Carter away from the ball. Does Caitlin need to toughen up, or are the women out to get her? And then, by the way, he shows, as you can see here, you can also see the play right before, where Caitlin gave a little hip check, I guess. I don't think again, I don't think what Caitlin did there was particularly physical. I mean, that's a normal physical basketball play. It was nowhere close to what she got in return. I think that's a stretch. And I think he's saying the same thing. Caitlin Clark said something as the two were jawing. Again, Caitlin Clark's not innocent here. She's not a victim here. And I think that's an important point to make as well, right? Caitlin Clark talks shit. Caitlin Clark makes facial expressions. She talks trash on the floor because she's a gamer, just like Angel Reese is a gamer, just like Kennedy Clark is a gamer, just like Angel Wilson's a gamer, just like, these are elite athletes, all of them. So Caitlin Clark isn't some princess on the floor minding her own business who's getting stalked by these crazy Negroes. Like, nah, she's out here rapping and capping and talking and doing all the things everybody else is doing. But the question is, again, like, what's within bounds and what isn't. He said, Caitlin, he said, are the women out to get her? I don't think that's actually him trying to bring black women down. I think it's a fair question. I think the answer is no. I don't think the women are out to get her. But I do think when you watch that kind of hip check, when you watch that kind of forearm, when you watch her catching the L's that she's gotten, I understand why someone would ask the question, especially if they don't watch the league a lot. Because here's the other thing. There's a lot of physicality in the WNBA. There's a lot of people getting thrown on their ass. There's a lot of people getting forearmed. There's a lot of people catching elbows. Not as much as Caitlin, but a lot. Again, the WNBA was talented before she got there. The WNBA was physical before she got there. This was a pro league. This is not LA Fitness. This is the W. And so I think at the end of the day, to answer the question that I asked, which is, are WNBA players bullying Caitlin Clark? I think the answer is no, she's not being bullied. She's being treated as a peer. She's being treated as a competitor, but she's also being treated as a rookie. I would caution, though, the WNBA players who are giving her the rookie treatment to not go OD. If we see too many plays like the ones we saw today, that will become too far, because that's beyond competitive basketball physicality. That is just bully ball. Again, they did the same thing in the NBA in the 80s and 90s. So again, I don't think Caitlyn's getting anything different or unique or special. She's not a victim here. But let's not create a narrative where she becomes a victim here. Because that's the other thing. If y'all so worried about Caitlin Clark getting all the attention, all the sympathy, all the special treatment, then don't help contribute to a narrative where it looks like she's getting bullied. Because right now it's rookie treatment, but let's keep it that way. Anyway, y'all, thank you for watching. Much more coming up tonight on the channel. Make sure you check it out. In the meantime, hit the like button. Let the YouTube algorithms know you rock with independent media. Also hit the subscribe button so we can expand our base, expand our reach. And if you're so inclined, hit the join button, because when you hit the join button, you become part of the Marc Lamont Hill official channel. You are able to provide monthly support to the channel, which is what we need to continue to grow and build and expand. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Oh, one more thing. If you don't want to make get a subscription to the channel, you can always do something right here. Again, every night we out here grinding. Every night I'm out here putting out content. And I need your help. I need your support in order to survive in an independent media universe. I don't have a billionaire backing me. I don't have a corporate check underwriting me. So if you just want to send $1 to Cash App, literally, if everybody here right now watching were to send $2, just $2, if everybody watching were to use the Cash App, the PayPal, the Venmo, or the Zelle to send $2, we'd be able to meet our production goals for the weekend. So do what you can. And if you can't do anything financial, that's okay. Just keep hitting the like button. Keep sharing the content. Keep letting the world know that we're out here and that we're putting out content that matters to you. And if you do that, we'll be just fine, man. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all later. Peace.